welcome to the all-new, all-different #1 Comics podcast, episode number 47.
46 more times.
46 to go. I'm Dan. That's Bob. Say hello, Bob.
Hello, Bob.
Bob, we are a weekly comic book podcast where each and every episode we take a look at a brand new #1 first issue comic book. We break down the story and art, give it somewhat a review, and let you know if we think that you should move on to issue #2 or not. We also talk a little bit of comic book news, when and if that exists, as well as what's new in comic book shops this and next week. This week we'll be taking a deep dive into the all-new #1.
From Sumerian Comics, Basic Instinct, Pound of Flesh, I believe?
Yeah, that was like the little subtitle on it. It doesn't say it on the front of the book, but yeah, inside it sure does. Pound of Flesh. That's a terrifying thing to say.
And on the back cover it does.
Okay, yes. Huh. I wonder, I haven't put it in like CLZ or anything because I haven't logged anything in a while, but I wonder if you scan the barcode in CLZ if it's got that on it.
It's a good question.
Yeah, we'll have to check that out. And report back, of course. Either way, yes, Basic Instinct #1 from Sumerian in collaboration with Massive. This is from the movie Basic Instinct. It's a sequel story, I'm guessing. I don't know. Anyways, we'll get more into that in a little bit. But for right now, we're going to take a quick break, and we will be back in just a moment. And we are back with episode number 47 of the all-new, all-different #1 Comics podcast. Bob, like we talked about off air, I didn't find much news to talk about this week. It's a very light news week.
News light.
Yeah, very, very light. Like you said, there's a new Mad Max Furiosa trailer that just dropped right this moment, apparently. Yeah. Neither one of us have watched much Mad Max, so I don't think there's much to talk about with that. There's news about The Boys having a Spanish language spinoff.
Is that what it is? A Spanish language spinoff?
Yes, it is a Boys Spanish language spinoff. I don't really know what else to say about that besides there's a Boys Spanish language spinoff, so I don't know. I mean,
isn't that just The Boys for Spanish-speaking countries?
I don't know. It's supposed to take place in Mexico. It's a spinoff. I'm not sure. We did get the information that Michael Waldron will write the Kang Dynasty film, so I guess the Marvel Studios is not giving up on the Kang thing.
I guess not.
They're still going to give that a shot, so very interesting that they're still going along with that, and I wonder if they're recasting the role or what's going on.
For a character like Kang, I think a recast would be really easy.
And probably in order, sadly.
Sadly.
You probably have to do that. So.
Yeah, because it doesn't sound like it's getting any better. It just sounds like it's.
It sounds like it's getting worse.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I thought we would do what we do whenever it's a light news week. Go over this Key Collector Trending 20 and kind of talk about if we have anything to say. So. Mm-hmm. So in the top spot, we've got the Sandman #1 from Vertigo Comics in 1989. The first appearance of Dream. First appearance of Unity Kincaid. First appearance of Roderick Burgess. And the first appearance of, Ethel Cripps. Is that what that says?
Yes.
Ethel? Okay, yeah. This one has a big spike in sales after it's announced that Season 2 has resumed filming. So, a lot of renewed interest in that. Bob, do you have a copy of the Sandman #1?
I honestly don't. I've never read a Sandman comic.
I'm with you. I've never read one, but I do have a copy of this. I bought a collection a few years back, and the guy was like a big Vertigo reader. And had like every Vertigo thing in there. And yeah, I ended up with a copy of that, so I won't complain. But yeah, I haven't read any of it.
So you bought the history of Vertigo.
Yeah, pretty much. Next up, we have Bob. How do you pronounce this? Nth Man? Is that how you're supposed to say that?
Man.
Nth Man, issue number 11 from Marvel Comics in 1990. I'm not sure why this is a thing this week. The key facts are a reality warper named Alfie O'Megan turns a woman into a... Oh, okay, this is why. A herald resembling Silver Surfer, but she does not possess the power cosmic bestowed to heralds by Galactus. So...
Yeah, I was reading this before we went on air, and I thought to myself, yeah, the reason this is on the list is because they're talking about a female Silver Surfer.
The best thing is, I would imagine that no Nth Man comics have ever been on any list or ever, you know.
The only thing, well, I was about to say, not to be confused with Nth Metal.
Yeah, true. Now, Bob, how about this book? I don't know if we've talked about this at large, like probably definitely not on the podcast, but I'm not a big boys fan. Like I tried to watch a few episodes of that show and I couldn't get into it.
I love the series. Oh yeah.
Now, do you have a copy of this book of issue number 1 of The Boys?
You know, to be honest, I've never read the comic.
Okay. Well, I hear it's a really faithful adaptation, but it's still, like, for as popular as this is, and it's out there, and so many people like it and everything, it still looks like a pretty affordable book.
It is.
I mean, they're saying on the high end $100. This is always, like, a little bit off, because by the time it's on here, it races up in price.
Right.
But, yeah, so next
and
up...
when you're talking about eBay especially.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they're going to say, hey, it's on the Key Collector trending list. But yeah, this one, The Boys number 1, first appearance of Billy Butcher, leader of the Boys... First appearance of Huey Campbell. First appearance of A-Train. Right now sitting on the high end $100 here on the Key Collector app. So I don't know, it might be a good time to
I really enjoy the Amazon series.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you and a lot of people, Bob. Next up from Marvel Comics, 1979, Avengers 186. Bob, I know you have a copy of this. I do as well.
Yeah.
Now, how do I pronounce this character's name, Bob?
Chthon.
Chthon, okay. Wow. The CH. Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Chthon appears as a cloud entity and possesses the Scarlet Witch.
Just think Galactus from Fantastic Four.
Yeah, true. First appearance of Magda, the wife, of Magneto and mother to Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch. Okay, yes. And the origin of Scarlet Witch and Pietro, wow, told by Bova, hinted that Magneto is the father of Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch.
Which they retconned.
Yeah, sure. Of course they retconned it, Bob. This is a great issue to have, though. I've got a copy of this. Love that issue. Speaking of DC Vertigo, 1988, I've definitely got a copy of this. Hellblazer number 1, a mirror issue of John Constantine's first ongoing titled series, and the first appearance of Papa Midnight.
Yes, I haven't read it myself, but I have a friend who's a big John Constantine fan, yes. And he has... I don't think he has the entirety of the collection of the original Hellblazer run, but I do know he has a number 1.
Yeah, man, I definitely have the whole thing. Let me know if he needs any copies of that. Next up from DC Comics in 1983, Year of the Damned, we have Action Comics 544, the introduction of Lex Luthor's war suit.
Classic. I mean, just a classic, war suit used to counteract Superman.
Sure, yeah. Why not pick that up? Bob, an iconic cover next up from Marvel Comics in 1979, Iron Man 128. Of course, the insanely iconic Demon in a Bottle cover by Bob Layton. Just a really cool book, really cool cover.
Do you have this cover?
Of course.
So, I don't know if you remember me telling you about this, but... So, one day when I was going to our local comic shop, Gotham City Limit, I just happened to look in a box that he just got in of older comics. I didn't see anything, and then I came across this. Yeah. And it's like, oh yeah, I'm definitely getting that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's a good book to have, a great cover. Yeah, they don't make them like that.
No.
So, yeah, definitely a good book to have. Next up, Marvel Comics 1982. Bob, a book that I'm kind of sad that I don't have a copy of, but I think it's out of range now.
How do you not have a copy of it?
I don't know. That's a great question. I have all the Transformer stuff. I do not have G.I. Joe Real American Hero #1. Yeah, this one has... You know, I was looking the other day through G.I. Joe key issues, and it's just... Almost every issue has a first appearance in it. Like, they all just introduce new characters. But this one... My God, I mean, if you're with us reading through the list, just scroll through. I mean, I'm not going to be able to read all these things. I wouldn't be able to pronounce a quarter of them. But
you know, like you just said, I mean, pretty much every issue has a first appearance.
Yes.
But surprisingly, there's only maybe 2 or 3 issues in the original run that are really on the high end.
Well, when's the last time you looked at the values, though?
It's been a while.
Yeah, definitely check them out again because, these things are rising up now because of all the renewed interest. But, first team appearance of G.I. Joe is all I'm going to say. If you find a copy of this, you know, even in shit condition, pick it up. That's all I can say. Yeah.
I've got mine.
Yeah, exactly. Bob's got his. I don't have mine, so you can be better than me at least and grab a copy.
Again, that's just crazy.
Yeah, I know.
Thinking that you don't have one.
I know.
You know,
trust me.
Buying all these random collections, you know. I mean, G.I. Joe #1, you'd think there'd be more G.I. Joe fans out there.
Well, all the 80s kids were smart enough to hang on to that,
I guess.
Not throw it in that collection. Bob, up next, one of my favorite books of all time, Marvel Comics 1989, Uncanny X-Men 244.
You're just biased.
Yeah, well, hey, it's got the first appearance of my favorite character, Jubilee. So, I love this book. It is a wonderful, wonderful book. Everyone should have 20 copies of this, is all I can say.
I believe I have a copy of this.
I certainly hope so, Bob. It's a great book.
I can't remember because this is of course it's the first appearance of Jubilee, but it's definitely an affordable.
Oh yeah.
Key.
Very. Yeah, always worth picking that one up. Next up from DC Comics in 1989, Huntress #1. There is a rumored Korean film featuring the Huntress possibly in development.
This, I heard that. I heard that a while ago, but I mean, there's just so many films in development that reach the stage of development.
Hell yeah. Development is not a guarantee that anything will
No.
It's development and optioned. Those are two things. You know, always making sure you make it to the next step.
You really don't want to hear either of those two when it comes to movies because there have been so many movies that have been optioned and developed, and they don't get. How long was Gambit in development?
Don't remind me. That's a sore subject. Oh, jeez. I'd love to see that. Speaking of Gambit, next up is Uncanny X-Men 132, the Part 4 of the Dark Phoenix Saga, first full team appearance of the Hellfire Club, first full appearance of Black Bishop, first full appearance of White Bishop, first appearance of Tessa, who later becomes Sage.
Not familiar with Tessa.
Oh, come on, Bob. It's great stuff. Next up, Uncanny X-Men 221. If you're seeing a trend here, there's lots of X-Men. Of course, there's lots of MCU speculation for X-Men.
Another iconic cover.
Yes. Very iconic Wolverine cover there. This is the first full appearance of Mr. Sinister. Javier Bardem, rumored to be cast as Mr. Sinister in an unknown MCU project. And the X-Men 97 animated series will include Mr. Sinister as a main villain. Very stoked about that.
God, Javier Bardem is rumored for him. He's rumored for Galactus.
Hey, he'll do everything. Why not? Next up, we've got a DC book. This is DC in 1967. Aquaman #35. The first appearance of Black Manta.
How many do you have?
Oh, Bob, none. Going back to X-Men, we've got, for Marvel Comics in 1980, Part 1 of the Dark Phoenix Saga. This is Uncanny X-Men 129. Bob, this also has a huge fan favorite, a favorite of mine. We have the first appearance of Kitty Pryde, first appearance of Emma Frost, the first cameo team appearance of the Hellfire Club and Shadows. This is a wonderful book to have. If you don't have a copy of this, get a copy of this.
Well, and I've got a little story. I had a copy.
Now you don't have one anymore. Come on.
Well, and you'll see why it's a story, or you hear why it's a story. And I tell you why. Actually, so my one of my really really good buddies. You know, I've known him since oh God, how long have we known each other? Probably going on 20 years now, if not more. But he and his wife, who I'm really good friends with, I've actually known her longer than I've known him.
Oh, wow.
And, you know, they had a daughter, and, you know, of course, you know, he's a huge comic book fan too, and of course, since it was the daughter, I guess they gravitated towards, you know, Kitty Pryde. So, you know, he asked me, "Hey, can you know, find this comic?" And I'm just like, "I have a copy of it, and, you know, I got it graded, and, you know, I mean, he's had it probably for at least 8-9 years in his house."
So you basically gifted it to his daughter.
Yeah.
Wow, Bob, what a stand-up guy, Bob.
I try.
Yeah,
I try.
Man, I'll gift a lot of things, but a comic is probably not one of them.
I'll try.
Exactly. Yeah.
I honestly had no problem doing it. I mean, I knew the significance of the issue,
sure.
but, you know, it was kind of like, you know, what better cause than this?
Yeah, very cool. Well, hopefully you made her day, and if she wasn't old enough to be aware, you at least made his day. So, very cool.
Well, I'm sure she knows the significance by now.
Oh yeah, by now. Yeah, sure. Wow, Kitty Pryde though. First appearance of Kitty Pryde, graded and then given by
9.2, I believe.
Wow. Okay, nice grade too. Yeah, very cool. Next up from Marvel Comics, 1993, we have Venom Lethal Protector, issue number 2. The first team appearance of the Jury with Bomb Blast, Firearm, Ram Shot, Screech, and Century.
Boy, that definitely screams 90s.
Yeah, it does. There. This also has the first full appearance of General Orwell Taylor. It says that the working title for Venom 3 is Orwell, leading speculation that this is a reference to the villain. And Lethal Protector 1 will be the book that collectors grab for first appearance of Orwell, if it's true that he's the major villain in Venom 3. But for those who prefer the actual full first, this is the one to have.
I know nothing of that character.
Yeah, me either. I mean,
nothing.
Of course, I've read the Venom Lethal Protector, plenty of times, but I don't remember the character off the top of my head. Next up from Marvel Comics 1979, we have Avengers 187, The Origin of the Darkhold. Great book to have. I feel like I keep saying that, but these are some great books to have. So, yeah, anything Darkhold related, you want it. Next up, we have another Uncanny X-Men book, Marvel Comics 1990, Uncanny X-Men 268.
Which has been homaged many times.
A very iconic Jim Lee cover, of course, with Black Widow and Captain America and Wolverine on the cover there, and that cool stance. It is revealed that Wolverine, Black Widow, and Captain America knew one another in World War II.
I'm so glad it's not the Rob Liefeld Captain America, or else
that
Wolverine might be knocked
stand-in.
off his pose.
I like that, actually. I mean, I say get Jim Lee to do Black Widow and Wolverine, and then have Rob Liefeld do as Captain America, and then that would be great.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun. Look, more Uncanny X-Men. Marvel Comics 1988, Uncanny X-Men 239, first cover and second appearance of Mr. Sinister. First cover appearance and mention of Madeline Pryor as the Goblin Queen. Yeah, this is... Man, just if you don't own this book, what are you doing? Next up for Marvel Comics 1971, Amazing Spider-Man 100. The 100th milestone issue with an iconic cover by John Romita Sr., Bob.
Yes.
Don't worry, it's by Sr.
Okay.
It's not by the JR. So
well, Spider-Man's face I can make out.
Yeah, that's how you can tell the difference there. I see. And last up, we have a new book from this week. This is Miles Morales' Spider-Man issue number 12. It's the 1 in 25 incentive.
I have to say that is a really cool cover. The only thing I don't like about the cover is right underneath Miles Morales' Spider-Man.
I was going to say the placement.
The placement of the issue.
Yeah. Yeah, that kind of does.
It's kind of like, you get the buildings, and then you got the red, and then just all of a sudden of course, the title doesn't bother me, but just all of a sudden having that little square.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's a little out there. Either way, those are again, in the absence of news, that's what we talked about this week in our news section.
Hopefully there'll be news next week.
Oh, we can only hope. Oh, look, I'm hoping next week we get... I'm still waiting for it. I want some other cinematic universes to pop up, Bob. I'd love to see, we already see the Valiant things probably, most likely not going to happen, sadly. But, there's plenty other comic book
I'm waiting for the Hasbro shared universe to get some steam going.
Hasbro, would be great. Look, think of all the amazing Image comics we've gotten lately. You can cross those over in a movie somehow. Start making solo films now. Get them out there. Cross it over. I don't know. Dark Horse has been putting out some great books.
Yep.
But if I'm really, really looking for something, Bob, I want. I want. Look, all of this stuff was existing franchises, so I don't know how it works. But give me a Topps universe from the early 90s.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, please.
That's a deep cut.
Yeah, it is. On that note, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Do you listen to albums start to finish? Do you love concept albums? Are you always the first one at a party to bring up King Gizzard? Say no more. The Album Concept Hour podcast has everything you need. We have hot takes.
It's like Voltron.
It's just like Voltron. It's like Voltron with jazz. This is emo. This is Willie Nelson's emo trip. Bad improv attempts.
That was.
Let's all do our best Aussie accent.
Let's not.
Let's alienate all the Australians. And sometimes we even learn something. As they listened again and again to the song in the control room, Axel started saying, "Where do we go? Where do we go now? Where do we go?"
Shut up.
Spencer turned down the music and said, "Why don't you just try singing that?" And thus the last part of the song was born. Listen to the Album Concept Hour wherever you listen to podcasts.
And we are back with episode number 47 of the All New All Different #1 Comics podcast. Bob, let's tell them about some new books that are in comic book shops this week. And first of all, from Marvel Comics, we have a Howard the Duck one-shot. The first appearance of Peeper, an all-seeing cosmic entity. Bob, I've got my copy right here. I've got the Scotty Young variant.
Very nice.
Yes, it's a very cool cover. I like it a lot. I like his little word balloon. It's got, some emojis in it. It's got a skull, a bomb, a knife, an exclamation point.
We'll just use our imagination on what those represent.
Yeah. we don't need any dialogue for that, but yeah. A really cool, fun Scotty Young variant cover. Next up from Boom Studios, we have Berserker Fallen Empire issue number 1. The origin of Berserker. Look, and this is one of those books. This is just, they made Berserker so Keanu Reeves would have a vehicle to, star in a movie. So this is going to be optioned. Why the hell would you not pick this stuff up?
Is it going to be optioned then developed?
I would believe so. I think, Keanu Reeves has a pretty good track record. I would say so. Bob, a book that I'm very excited about. I actually might just throw out, like a solo bonus episode this week or something on this one. This is from Image Comics. This is Crave number 1. Again, the synopsis doesn't make it sound great, but it looks so cool, and I haven't read it yet. This is a mysterious app that promises to make your desires come true, spreads among students of an elite university who use it to hook up until havoc ensues on campus.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, and this one is written, illustrated, everything by Maria Lovett. It just looks fantastic. Looks insane. Next up from Scout Comics, and this one actually did come out this week.
Wow.
I picked up a copy of it. The next 2 books. This is This Little Piggy, a werewolf comes of age and is ready for the hunt in this book. So lots of werewolf stuff happening lately. I don't know what's going on there, but I'm okay with it. I like werewolves. They're fun. They're scary. They'll tear you apart. But, you know, as long as there's not a full moon or you have a silver bullet, you'd be okay.
Well, I mean, what was it? Walking Dead. We got zombies for, what, 5-6 years?
5 or 6, I wish. Yeah, 20.
Probably more than that.
Yeah.
You know, we had vampires for a little bit there.
Yep.
You know, now it's, you know, next is going to be Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Fish creature man.
Creatures
I like
from the Black Lagoon.
Yeah, true. Next up from Scout Comics is Vectors #1. A NASA capsule crashes back to Earth after being presumed lost in space almost 50 years ago with a crew that hasn't aged since their departure. Bob, I like that. It's very Planet of the Apes-ish or something. Very Twilight Zone-ish. It sounds very...
It was Earth all along.
Yeah, this is definitely up my alley, and I cannot wait to read this book. It sounds very fun. Next up, Bob, is a book that I know that you're very excited about. DC Comics Batman 89, Echoes #1, written by Sam Hamm, the screenwriter of the 89 Batman film. So I've heard that what they did in this one was kind of, you know, they cast it and everything. So they treated it like, I think, what did they say? That Harley Quinn is in it, played by Madonna or something. I don't know, something like that. But yeah, sounds, maybe she's playing someone else. I don't know, but Madonna's in it, playing someone.
Very interesting.
Yeah, sounds very, very cool.
Hopefully young Madonna.
Yeah, 1989 Madonna. We've got Doom Patrol 99 facsimile reprint, a facsimile reprint of Doom Patrol 99, the first appearance of Beast Boy. So probably your only affordable way to get a hold of that copy.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Also from DC Comics, we have Penguin issue #4, the first appearance and reintroduction of Lisa St. Clair, a femme fatale from Cobblepot's past. And a character with that name was featured in the Arc of Young Love, issues 68 through 78.
Again, everybody remembers that.
Everybody's got those copies on hand right now. Also from DC Comics, we got Power Girl issue #3 with a possible first appearance of Symbio. I forgot to pick this one up, but I really loved the cover. I'm hoping I can go back.
I know you were hoping for that possible first appearance.
Oh yeah, man. Symbio is going to take the world by storm soon. Also from DC Comics, we got Titans Beast World #1 crossover event. Can humanity survive? An all-powerful heroes and villains transformed into ferocious beasts. I don't know. I guess we'll have to read it to find out. But look, no matter what happens in DC, Batman can never die. So if you're worried about Batman dying, it won't happen.
Well, I don't know. In DC's, I mean, Bruce Wayne lasted, what was it? The original DC's, he lasted, maybe an issue, and then he died. Mm-hmm. So. Yeah,
but he's still alive now, Bob, so explain that.
That's true.
From Marvel Comics, we got Amazing Spider-Man, Gang War, First Strike, #1, a one-shot tie-in to the event. We also got Luke Cage, Gang War, #1, a 4-shot tie-in to the event. Also, Spider-Woman #1, written by Steve Fox, Bob, so you know this is going to be a good read.
Yeah.
This is a tie-in to the Gang War event as well. And we got Uncanny X-Men 142 with a facsimile reprinting. And last up, Bob, is X-Men Blue Origins #1 with the origin of Nightcrawler. This one had some fantastic covers on it. If I didn't already have it in that short box over there, I'd show you the cover that I'm talking about. But,
I've heard rumblings, but I haven't. Of course, I didn't pick this up, so.
Oh, you didn't pick it up? Man.
No, I didn't
pick it up. It's got the origin of Nightcrawler.
But I've actually heard they're retconning something in this. What it is, I have no idea.
Yeah, I've heard some things too, but it sounds like a lot of fun. Well, with that being said, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with our discussion of Basic Instinct #1. we are back with episode number 47 of the all new, all different #1 comics podcast. Bob, we are going to be talking about issue number 1 of Basic Instinct from Sumerian Comics in collaboration with Massive Publishing. Bob, this is... I'm going to read the synopsis really quick from Sumerian.
Okay.
Then we'll go into the creators, I'll go into my synopsis, then we'll talk about the book, of course, like we always do. But the overview reads, Flesh seduces, passion kills.
Words are hard.
Yeah, they sure are. An anonymous artist who draws their inspiration from famous murders has opened their newest exhibit surrounding the now infamous Ice Pick murder, centered around Catherine Trammell. However, when a security guard of the exhibit is murdered, on its opening night, the art director responsible for the opening is thrust into an investigation that forces him to question his own involvement. Now, I like that synopsis because it's actually what we read in the book.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't happen all the time, so...
No, we've definitely had some books where the synopsis are like...
It just makes me
what
wonder
comic
who's writing
is this?
Yeah, I'm like, who wrote the synopsis? Clearly not the person that wrote the comic.
No.
It's very interesting. But yeah, this one seems very straightforward.
Yeah, it is. So kudos on that.
Yeah, very cool. Now let's talk about the creators, Bob. This is going to be easy because Sam Freeman, this is his first endeavor.
Is it
so
really?
This is now 2 weeks in a row we have first-time writers.
Oh.
So... I mean, how cool is that, for one, that we're getting first-time writers, publishing books 2 weeks in a row. We've got them here on the podcast. I think that's awesome. That's what we want. Of course, we want to read James Tynion stuff and all of that. It's badass. It's really, really good. But
it's refreshing to read.
Yeah, of course.
Brand new writers.
Yep, brand new and. Spoiler alert, like, this guy's a pretty good writer. I like the way he writes, so we'll get into more of that later. Bob, the art's by Vanesa Del Rey. I don't know how familiar you are with Vanessa. I absolutely love Vanessa Del Rey's art. She hasn't done a lot, but the stuff that she has done is just phenomenal. I really like all the stuff she's done. One of my favorite books of the last few years was an Image comic called Redlands, and she was the illustrator for the entire run. So I think it had like 12 issues. She illustrated every one of them. It's so good. I love it a lot, and her art is just outstanding on it. It's really, really cool. It's one of those, it takes place here in Florida, and it's like, I don't know, witches and stuff, and swampiness and everything, and she just fits the tone so well with her, kind of imperfect, like, sketchiness and everything. So
exactly. Reading this book, I'm not familiar with her other work, especially that one you were just talking about.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, it had like a surrealist quality to it.
Yeah, exactly. She's phenomenal. She also, if you're looking for a good, like, short read, like I said, Redlands is just a 12-issue series, and she wrote and illustrated the entire thing. The only thing she didn't do on it was color it, but let me tell you who the colorist was on that book. It was Jordi Belair, the all-time all-star of coloring comic books. So,
nice.
I mean, you cannot go wrong with that book. It's so good.
Nice.
So, of course, we're here to talk about this book, but I just, obviously she's so good. She also worked on The Empty Man from Boom Studios. That book came out a few years ago. It was written by Colin Bunn, so a favorite over here on the podcast, and she illustrated some amazing illustration, is all I can say. She's also done some stuff for Dark Horse, The Witcher, Witch's Lament. For Boom Studios, she did Hit, 1957. And she worked on the Marvel book, Conan, Serpent War, as well as the regular Boom Studios book, Hit. She did some work on Scarlet Witch for Marvel Comics, the series. What year was that? I'm trying to look here. What year this came out? 2015. So if you remember those books with the insane covers on them, she was David. What is it? How do you say that? AJA. Aja.
Aja.
Okay, so David Aja did the cover art, and then she did the interiors. Just some amazing stuff there. So,
Very nice.
yeah, definitely want to check that out. She's done some work on Ghost Lore, too. I know you're familiar with Ghost Lore.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just all around, just a badass artist. She's so good, so I definitely suggest seeking out anything Vanesa Del Rey you can find. She's phenomenal, and a really good writer, too, on Redlands. Bob, my synopsis for the book. Stick with me here. So, Basic Instinct opens with a narration of Catherine Trammell reading from her book and some crazy performance art show of a woman and a giant snake. We see a security guard get murdered, then the woman is killed by the snake on the stage. Someone finds the security guard's body and calls the police. A detective has the man who discovered the security guard's body come down to be questioned. He's questioned in the murder, and we find out that he's the guy who's hosting the gallery honoring famous murders. He's revealed that he's been corresponding with the artist anonymously, and then he's released from the questioning since he had nothing to do with the crime. Bob, I don't even know how to describe what happens next. It's basically a letter is being read to someone named Roxy, and there's a disemboweled corpse, a lot of blood, and a body suspended in the air with some kind of rope or something between the body and something else. Then there's a nude body, like, coming out of a picture. Then I don't know if it turns into a nude figure or if it's a different figure. All of that appears to be the gallery host's dream, and he wakes up to a text reading, "I'm sorry to hear about your gallery. It's a shame no one will see those pieces. I'd love to meet. House tomorrow at 1. I'll send a car." And that's how the book wraps up. So, let's break this thing down because, okay, I guess let's say this off the top. And I can't remember where you stand. I had never seen Basic Instinct.
I've seen bits and pieces.
Yeah, sure. I mean, look, we're both kids of the 90s, so we know about the famous
cross your leg, uncross your legs, cross your legs scene.
I was trying to think of an elegant way to describe that. Yes, the uncrossing of the leg scene.
I like speaking in layman's terms.
Yes. So we're familiar with that. I'm familiar with the ice pick murdering. I know that happens in there. I know that's a big thing. But I've not seen the movie. Up until I thought, last night I was like, you know what? I'll go ahead and watch this movie, prepare myself for the book. I would say, I made it I started to watch it when I was laying down, so I made it probably 20 minutes in. It seemed very interesting. I will be going back to it. Okay. But I have not watched the entire
7 times?
Oh, God, no. No. This won't be a Robert Pattinson Batman, that's for sure.
I don't think it's 3 hours.
No, and even that, I can tell from the first 30 minutes there, it's much more interesting. So, much better acted, much more interesting. There's actually color involved. You can see some of it. Yeah, it's I'll give it.
So it's a win all around.
Yeah, absolutely. Much better than the Batman. But yes, with that being said, we're not so familiar with the source material. Now, I think for a comic book review for a first issue of a comic book, it shouldn't matter. We should be able to break into this and get out of it what we get, and that's how I treated it. But just to throw that out there for anybody who's like a big super fan of this franchise or whatever, no, Bob and I are not very familiar with the source material.
No.
So breaking it down, the story beats, and I think we can. I think that it's fine to separate it enough because we realize it takes place in that world. We realize it has something to do with those characters, but this is not centered around what happens in that movie. So it's just, part of something that happens in that world. With that being said, the story beats here. Let's break them down. It's kind of convoluted.
Kind of is one way to put it.
Yes, but with that being said, I think that Sam has done a great job here. I wasn't confused. It's just a lot going on. Now, the only thing I was confused about, what the hell was that performance art and why did the snake kill the lady? I'm really confused about that. I'm sure it's going to come back around. But the story starts with a narration, and it's saying that it's, going to be Catherine Trammell reading from her book. We know that Catherine Trammell is Sharon Stone from the Basic Instinct movie, and she is a novelist. And I know that in the novel, in the Basic Instinct movie, she's written a novel about someone killing like a famous rock star or something, and that's what ends up happening in the movie. Mm-hmm. In that story. Mm-hmm. And she's blamed for the murder or whatever. She gets involved with Michael Douglas, who's like a police on the case. I don't know what happens beyond that, but it looks like they're trying to bring some of that in here. I'm just not sure where Catherine lands. Is she supposed to be the person on stage with the snake? I don't think so. Okay, so that's someone completely different.
Yeah, I'm assuming, especially how Sam had the dialogue written, where if it was supposed to be the person on stage, I would figure, it would have the word balloons and not just the narrated squares.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that makes sense then. Yeah, so I would say, that was a little weird for me. I didn't understand exactly what was happening there, but I would like to know. I guess maybe what we're supposed to conclude is that this is just a performance piece that's happening there in the gallery. It's some kind of show that's going on with the lady and the snake, and then the snake ends up killing the woman. I don't know how that's related to anything that's going on. I'm hoping that comes back around and we can figure out more about that, but that's what happens. From there, behind the scenes of what's going on, a security guard is killed in the same fashion as the art that's being portrayed from the famous ice pit killings. So that makes sense to me. I get all of that. The man that discovers the body is the one hosting the gallery. He calls the police, and he is questioned about being involved. He has the weird dream, and then he sees that he's somewhat involved. So I think all of that makes sense. I think the only thing I had a little bit of trouble with was that beginning there. Now, what about you?
The thing that did it for me as far as the story beats, and you alluded to it earlier, was I'd say the third act, so to speak, with the whole dream sequence. That was just kind of, what the heck is this?
Yeah, the dream sequence was very, very strange. Now, again, like we don't know enough about the source material. Maybe there's a lot like happening in dreams.
Right.
From the movie or whatever.
But just for the simple fact we haven't seen the movie.
Yes, but I will say, I guess the first time I read the book, I didn't put two and two together, and I was like, what is happening here? And then I was like, oh, it's his dream, the second time I read it. So it was definitely worth a second read for me to figure that out. But I liked it. I will say, it was odd. It was very weird. I liked it. And I think one of the reasons I like it is, I don't know how you are with like media involving dreams or whatever. Sometimes it's very weird to me and all of that. I have very weird lucid dreams a lot. I'm a lucid dreamer. I'm one of those people that's like aware that I'm dreaming in my dream, and I try to do things or whatever. But
Dreamception.
Yeah. But yeah, exactly. But I love David Lynch a lot. I really love David Lynch.
Who doesn't like David Lynch?
Yeah, true. Good question. Twin Peaks, one of my favorite shows of all time. It's so weird. The dream scenes in the red room with the, all of that stuff. I love these really weird, vivid dreams and the imagery that goes along with it. And it kind of like reminded me of something like that. It was odd. There was weird stuff going on, but it meant something. There was like a purpose to it. So, I don't know. I was kind of into it, even though it was very strange. But yeah, that's all I'll say about that. How about the narrative then? The narrative kind of switches back and forth a little bit. Of course, we have the narrative of, someone narrating that Catherine Trammell is going to be reading a piece over something, and then we have the letter being read and the dream scene. We have the regular, narrative of the book, the characters talking and everything, which I'm not 100% sure. Did we ever get the guy's name who's running the art gallery? I don't know that we did.
Not that I recall.
Yeah, I'm not seeing that synopsis or anything either. So that's usually where they drop names that you don't get. So maybe we're not supposed to know his name yet. I was fine with the narrative here. I think it worked very well. Again, the only time I got tripped up, the two things that I pointed out. I'm a little confused as to why we're being narrated the thing about Catherine Trammell's appearance or whatever, and then the whoever's writing in that dream sequence. But I mean, we're probably not supposed to understand the dream narrative yet, so that makes sense. The dialogue then, Bob. Was there any point in this where the dialogue stood out to you? Anything that didn't make sense? Anything you really liked in the dialogue?
I mean, nothing really stood out to me. Personally, I mean, you had the detective interrogating the art gallery owner. I mean, that was the biggest, that was actually the biggest dialogue piece in this book.
That was like really the only interaction with actual characters.
Yeah, I mean, of course, you get the, patrons watching the performance art. I mean, call 911. Is this part of the show? This is why I don't like performance art. But, I mean, the interrogation is basically the biggest dialogue, at least back and forth, that we get.
Can I point out, since you said something about that one balloon there, I love that because I almost feel like that's the audience speaking. I don't know if you felt the same way, but I'm like the same way. I don't understand performance art. It's always over my head. And I love how, like, I felt like that was like a stand-in, for like me as the reader. Like, I don't like performance art anyways or whatever. I really like that. I thought it was pretty funny. But yeah, I like the dialogue here. It all made sense to me. It worked really well. I liked the dynamic of the detective and the gallery, the guy that's running the art gallery. I like the way that the detective kind of spoke to him, where he was questioning him on things, but he wasn't pressing very hard. And then at the same time, he was very nonchalant. He was very, look, just because you discovered a body, it doesn't make you guilty of anything. You're free to go.
Yeah.
I like that because that's not usually what you read in those circumstances. Usually they're trying to pin something on somebody or trying to get more info or whatever.
You did it for this reason and this reason only.
Yeah, exactly. And they went the opposite way, and I really liked that. I'm like, oh, good, a different perspective. Like, you're not making me scared to go to bed tonight, where I'm sitting here thinking, am I going to get framed for something one day and then questioned by the police? But yeah, I really liked the dialogue.
And then you get the gallery owner's explanation, and it's got a bunch of ums in it, so he's trying his best, but he's so nervous.
Oh, yes, of course. Well, as anybody should be when interrogated by a detective or police officer.
Knock on wood, hopefully that never happens to me.
Please don't anybody ever out there think that you're going to be like, super confident and, whenever somebody's accusing you or questioning you for a crime that you didn't commit. So, I'm sure it would be nerve-wracking either way. But, the world building, Bob, that's where we got to go next. I really like this. This is cool. It's so wacky and weird. Like I said, it's got all the performance art that is over my head that I don't get at all. It's really weird. The dream scene is so strange. I kind of even got this unnerving feeling from the interrogation. Like, even though it was pretty laid back and everything, like, it seemed too laid back or something. Just everything here. I like this world.
So, and to do a little bit of a comparison, to go on one of my famous tangents.
Yes, please.
Because I have a lot of them. Actually, the detective reminds me of a character, with his calm demeanor, even though he's trying to get something out of the art gallery owner. So, I know we brought it up before, but did you ever watch the X-Files?
I popped in and out. I didn't like follow it religiously.
There's a character in there, the Smoking Man.
Yeah, the cigarette smoking man.
Yes. So
Very
you know what I'm
familiar.
talking about.
Yep.
The detective actually reminds me, attitude-wise of the Smoking Man. You know, that cool, collected character, but, he's still trying to get information.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that. That's a good comparison. Yeah, definitely. And I'm going to say this, like, right off the bat. I think that, we both really appreciate a good comic book writer, of course. We sit here and preach how great people like Steve Fox, James Tynion, Tyler Crook, Colin Bunn, how well all these people write things and how they're like, pretty flawless in what they're doing and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when it comes to story beats, that's very important. The writing's very important there. The dialogue, the narrative, it's all very, very important. I would say, first and foremost, if you can't flesh out and build a world that I'm interested in, then none of that other stuff matters.
Right.
And like I said here, what Sam is building in this universe, I love. I think that he has absolutely laid the groundwork to make this, a very lived-in world, something, I'm comfortable in it. I see, corners of it and deep pockets and everything here in this universe. It's weird. It's very art performance-y. It's very... Everybody's an artist in this world. You have a writer, you have performance artists, you have gallery owners, you have painters. It feels like everybody in this thing, is a very creative person, and the world is just very fleshed out. And I really, really like this. So I'm going to say, before we get off of the story and go to the art, I'm going to say, for this being Sam's first comic book, Sam has really done a phenomenal job.
Yeah, it has.
Yeah,
he really has.
I'm very, very impressed. So, accolades to is that the right term?
Accolades,
yeah. To Sam, wonderfully done. I don't know. Stamp that on the back of your trade paperback and print it. But yeah, really, really well done. I like it a lot. Now going into the art, I'm going to be very biased here, so I think I'm going to let you lead. But Vanesa Del Rey, just God, man. I love her art. So, again, it's going to be hard for me. Bob, what did you think about the characters here? The design, the character designs, all of that.
Okay, and this is gonna be a personal thing.
Yes, please.
It's not gonna be you have to listen to my opinion. Mm-hmm. No, please don't listen to my opinion. It's my opinion.
Yeah, it's Bob's opinion alone.
Okay, I'm an art fan.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big art fan. And I love the surrealist style.
Yep.
Which, Vanessa definitely uses a surrealist touch.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, personally for me, just this, especially on the characters, the surrealist style just, for some reason, didn't work for me.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing at all. Other than the characters, like the backgrounds, which we'll get into later, and foregrounds and everything like that work. But just the characters in general, especially the detective, is like when they do close up of his face, and just seeing the surrealist style for his beard, again, it just didn't work for me for some reason.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, and fair enough. It is a very unique style. It's not a house style at all. It's something, that you're not going to see whenever you crack open most comic books. And again, we have like a very dreamy kind of world here. I'm gonna say this. Again, like you already knew going in what I was gonna say about it because I love Vanesa Del Rey's art a lot. This is top notch to me. I love this art. I love it. It's so gritty and just I don't know. I don't know how to explain what I love about this art, but I really like it a lot. I think it puts and writing so well.
And I'm saying 90% of it I like. The whole the whole performance art part of it, I mean, I think is beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the dream sequence is just so, for lack of a better term, batshit.
Yeah, it's unnerving. It's got a weird unnerving quality. I remember when I first
just
turned to that page, I felt uncomfortable.
Just the tendrils coming out of his hands and him just being, up suspended from the ceiling. Yep. It's kind of like, okay.
Yeah, intense.
But I mean, it's just some of the some of the actual individual character art just personally didn't work for me. And that, I mean, again, that's not saying it was bad by any means.
Yeah, sure. No, Bob, look, of course, that's why you're on this show. You're always entitled to your opinion. Absolutely. There's no right or wrong here. We feel how we feel, and that's why we break it down and discuss it. So don't ever feel bad about not liking something. I personally think that the characters in this, top notch. There's not much more I could ask for in this. I love it. I think that they are designed beautifully, and I really like them a lot. It's not quite for Bob. That's fine. Nothing wrong with that. You've got two different opinions, and that's what makes this thing work. And, I will say this. You're probably not going to land... This is probably not one of the times where you're going to land in between me and Bob. You're probably either going to love this, or it's not going to be for you.
Right.
Because it is that specific. So you're either in Camp Dan or Camp Bob, and whichever is fine. But I will say for me, Vanesa Del Rey knocks these characters out of the park. How about the backgrounds? Talk about the backgrounds for a sec. I don't know if you have anything that comes to mind here. I will say, for me, I think the backgrounds... they definitely do what I want them to do. They have plenty going on. They're lived in. There's lots of detail in every single one of them. I'm not seeing any blank panels with close-ups on faces or anything.
No, I'm not
and
either.
Then whenever, we get into some of the really weird stuff and everything, of course there's a lot going on there. I love the backgrounds. If you have anything to say about those, Bob.
No, I've said it earlier. I mean, the backgrounds work for me. I mean, that art style on the background is, in the dream sequences, how you get that, you get the nice reds, but then you get it contrasted against the, blue backgrounds, easy for me to say. Where, you can see the individual tiles on the floor.
Yep.
You can see the, I guess the picture or the work on the art gallery wall. So the backgrounds pop for me.
Yeah, the backgrounds are nice, fleshed out. The locations. We've got... Let me go over the locations really quick. We have the wherever the performance art is happening. I'm assuming in the gallery there. Then we have outside of that where the actual art gallery is happening in the background. Everything with the security guard. We've got the police station, and we have the home of the gallery owner, or I guess he's not owner, but the guy who's running the art gallery there. So not a whole lot of locations, and then of course we have the dream location. I like all the locations. I think that they work great. They're very lived in. Again, like I talked about this a lot in the world building already, and I think that the art kind of goes hand in hand with the storytelling here. So yeah, I enjoy all the locations. I think that they're done really, really well. I'm going to have to circle back again and again to this dream scenario here because it's so insane. It's so intense. But the location in that just, like I said, it invokes that David Lynchian, type of feel to me. It's just, it has a great representation of a dreamscape, and I think it's done really well. I like it a lot. The last thing that we'll talk about is the colors. And there is a colorist on this book. I'm going to have to check out their name really quick. It is Keila Valerio. I really like the colors here.
I do too.
I'm getting like the first palette that I'm looking at whenever we're looking at this performance piece and everything, and this
just like the purples and the reds.
Yeah, and this character who's on stage with the snake. I mean, she has like that universe coloring to her.
Yeah,
you know, it's like you think of deep space and all these universes and everything. That's the look I'm getting from her colors here.
Captain Universe from Marvel.
Exactly. Yes. Exactly. Yeah, and the hues in here, this palette, these pinks and purples and reds and
then you get the yellowish, goldish snake.
Yeah, the snake. Yeah, it's very gold. And the backdrop it's very dark. You know, that's why it's reminding me of space. We're in the shadows here, but these colors are really shining through. Then we have the deep tones of red for the blood. We have some really dark panels that really work really well, even though they're very dark. And then we have, you know, the police station. You can imagine a police station in your head. It's not very, very bright, but you have some fluorescence overhead and all that. Mm-hmm. And it really mimics that very well. The coloring and the lighting and everything and the shadows and everything in the police station work wonderfully together. And then we get to something like the last few pages, the last few panels. We kind of circle back to that universe palette, but not really. It's got a new palette to it as well. I don't know. I think the colors work really, really well.
I do too.
This colorist works very, very well with Vanesa Del Rey. And it sets the tones for Sam's book here. So, with all that being said, Bob, we're going to get into, you know, the question of the podcast, of course. Is any of this enough to make you suggest this to our listeners to move on to issue number 2, to add it to a pool? Will you be adding it to your pool? And I'm going to let you go first. Conflicted.
Yeah, I was going to say this one is hard for me, so I want to hear your answer first.
Well, I'm going to say this. I'm not, again, like I said at the head of the podcast, I have no attachment to the source material. I haven't even finished the first movie. I know there's been some... Sorry.
Okay, before you give your answer...
Yes, please.
If you did continue with this book, and I'm saying if, because you haven't said yeah or nay yet,
yep.
Would this convince you to, even though you said... Will this convince you to definitely watch the movie?
Oh, yeah. I will say this. The movie convinced me to finish the movie. You know, just the little bit that I watched. But yes, going deeper into this and everything, yes, I do want to see what happens in this movie. Absolutely. Now with that being said, you know, I'm not partial to the source material yet. There's also been like a few like... I don't know what you call them anymore. I guess straight to streaming now. But I think there's been some direct to DVD or whatever sequels and all of that, you know, in the past or whatever. So it's somewhat of a franchise. You know, there's a few things out there. So I have no attachment to any of that. I don't know much about this story. I don't have any attachment to the writer. I don't know anything about him. The only attachments that I have here are Vanesa Del Rey.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Is Vanesa Del Rey's art enough to make me go to a book whether I liked it or not and all that? Yeah, sadly, yes. I really like her stuff a lot, so it would be. But my answer is this. This is really intriguing. It's really super weird. It's so out there that I have to know what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I 110% will be picking up issue number 2. I can't wait to read it. I can't wait to finish the movie and learn more about this. Bob, all this time I was thinking that Basic Instinct was, you know, this erotic crime story, and I'm sure that's what it is, but it seems deeper than that at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like there's some substance there other than just look at a nice-looking woman's boobs and then, you know, see some people get killed. It seems like there's more of a story to it than that. And I think that's probably why I avoided it for so long. You know, it just wasn't on my radar to even check out, and now it is. So, yes, my answer is yes. I will be returning to issue number 2. I will be checking this out. I would have done it for Vanesa Del Rey alone, but I really want to support Sam. I want to see what Sam has to say and what he does with this, and hope that he continues on writing comics and all of that. But yeah, this is a win for me. I will definitely be checking it out. You go.
So again, this one was hard for me. I could go either way.
Yep.
But for me personally, I think it's weird enough
Yeah.
that it's kind of like, okay, I kind of want to see where this goes.
Yeah, it's almost one of those things. I mean, you think about it, and we read a lot of comics. Of course, a lot of times, I'll read a book and it comes back, a while later. If I don't go to the second issue, I go, a few months later, a year later, whatever, I go, wow, I wonder what the hell they were saying there. I wonder what they were trying to say. I wonder what's going to happen next. And then, I go seek that out or whatever. Like, I can't go on living without knowing, what the hell happened here. What is going on in this dude's dream, everything. What's happening. Yeah, I'm very interested in that as well. It's interesting enough to see what happens next. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's a pretty good read of this book. You have somebody who's all in, and you have somebody who's more on the fence, but the story is just intriguing enough to say, let's see what happens next, Now, that answer from Bob might be, yeah, let's see what happens next, and if next month, they don't sell me on it, then I'm going to drop it from there. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I could see a lot of people feeling that way. This might not be for everybody. There might be some people out there who are huge Basic Instinct fans and really want to learn more about this world and are going to pick it up. There's people like me who, really just love Vanesa Del Rey's art and want to see more of it and are going to pick it up. Whatever your reasoning for it is, Bob and I say pick up issue number 2. And that is our review or read on the book. We're going to take a quick break to recover from that, and we'll be right back. And we are back with episode number 47 of the All New, All Different Number 1 Comics Podcast. Here to talk about some new books that are dropping next week in comic book shops. But Bob, first and foremost, let's hit him with a little bit of disclaimer time. But before that, we need our weekly disclaimer time with Bob song, because it's disclaimer time with Bob.
Oh, somebody please make a song.
Come on, just do it.
I mean, really. Like I always say, these are just a few of the books that are coming out next week. Hopefully, air quotes, coming out next week. But if you want a more in-depth list, please consult elsewhere, or you can call your local comic shop. And
Bob, it's funny that you mention a local comic book shop, because I agree with you. I think that the best place to call and discuss the new books that are coming out each week is your local comic book shop. And if you happen to live in Jacksonville, Florida, like Bob and I do,
yes,
all you have to do is call up Gotham City Limit. They are at 4195 Southside Boulevard, Unit 104, Jacksonville, Florida 32216. Yeah, hit them up. Ask for Ben, ask for Jonathan, definitely ask for Ian. They'd love to talk to you about each and every title that's coming out. They'll read you the synopsis. Probably, if you ask them nicely, they'll read the comics to you over the phone, so you don't even have to read the book yourself. Maybe they'll fax you some pictures, but definitely get a hold of Gotham City Limit and let them know that you want to know all about the comics that are coming out next week. Take it to the limit.
And remember, it's more than just a comic shop.
It sure is. They also read books to you over the phone.
Yes. So, starting off the list, we have X-Men number 29.
And Bob, this one has the first team appearance of Dr. Doom's team of mutants.
Yes.
I'd love to know who is on Dr. Doom's
I would actually too, because just looking by the picture, it's kind of like the only one I recognize is Wolverine, but I'm guessing he's not part of Dr. Doom's team.
Yeah, probably not. You also got Miss Marvel back there, punching somebody.
Oh yeah, no, I see Miss Marvel.
Kamala Khan's in there.
Then we have one of the How many have we gotten so far of the Disney variants, would you say?
Oh, God, I don't know. I mean, probably close to 20, right? Like 15 or so?
It's got to be something like that. But
there.
next week, we're getting Amazing Spider-Man number 39 with a Disney cover of Jim Lee's X-Men number 1.
Yeah, a great homage cover there. We got Mickey as Cyclops. We have, is it Daffy Duck?
Donald.
Oh, sorry, Donald Duck. Wolverine with some marshmallows on his claws. I love that. We've got Goofy as Iceman back there in the background. This is just a lot of fun.
It took me a minute to recognize who that was.
Yeah, I love it. It's a lot of fun. And he's like kind of slipping on the ice also. So it's just a lot of fun.
And it's also going to be part 1 of Gang War crossover preceded by prologue issues.
Yeah, so if you're interested in the Gang War crossover, which I know we are, make sure you check that out.
Or if you just like the Disney covers.
Well, yeah, that too.
Next up, we're getting Marvel's Voices Avengers number 1.
Yeah, this one's an anthology of Avengers stories. I would assume it's got a whole bunch of different writers on it and artists as well. But yeah, very, very fun stuff.
So I see that Cap's there, Iron Man's there. I see that Robbie Reyes is there.
Yes.
Is that Monica Rambeau up top?
Yes it is. That's Photon.
Oh, I thought that was
Or
Photon.
Spectrum. Wait, what's her name? Yeah, I don't know.
Photo, whatever she's going by this week.
Whatever.
She's had a lot of code names over the years.
Yeah, they all do.
Next up, we have the Century number 1.
Yeah, New Century volume. This is a 4-issue limited series that may introduce a new century from various people who are manifesting the dead hero's powers. And if that doesn't sound crazy enough, just wait till you read the book.
So basically, are the 4 random people going to merge into one? Just
I hope
Uber
so.
Century?
Yeah, why not?
Next up, we have a new volume of Thunderbolts.
Yeah, another new volume here. Bucky Barnes, a.k.a. The Revolution, leads a new Thunderbolts team.
I have no idea when he became the Revolution.
Maybe right now.
Possibly. Going to DC, we have Shazam number 6.
Bob, I hate to say this, but even the first appearance of Shazam-Mite, the cousin of Bat-Mite, is not going to make me buy a Shazam comic. So, sorry.
Shazam-Mite.
Yeah, not going to happen. But nice try, DC.
So you have Superman who has Mr. Mitzel Splitlick. I believe that's how you say it. I probably just butchered his name, but that's the best I can do.
Better than I can.
You have Batman in the Batmite, and now you have Shazam in the Shazamite.
Yeah, of course. Why not? Why wouldn't Shazam get one?
So is Wonder Woman next?
Oh, God, I hope not. I mean, leave
Wonder Woman
away from Wonder Woman, please, for the love of God.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're doing Goofy with Batman, so they're doing Goofy with anybody. We have Titans Beast World, Tor Metropolis number 1.
Bob, get ready for it because in this issue, Power Girl becomes Flame Bird.
Not exactly. She becomes a wielder of the Phoenix Force?
Yeah, exactly. I'm pretty sure. I mean, she kind of looks like it back there in the background.
That is true. We're getting a couple of facsimiles from DC. First facsimile is Adventure Comics number 260.
This one is a facsimile reprint of Adventure Comics 260, the origin of Aquaman in the Silver Age.
So if you want an affordable issue of the first Silver Age Aquaman,
I guess
get this. Yeah, exactly. This is your only shot.
Yep.
And the next facsimile we're getting is Batman number 5.
Yeah, reprinting of Batman number 5, the debut of the Golden Age Batmobile with the Bat head design.
You're definitely not going to find this at a reasonable price.
No.
Except for this one.
Yep. This is the only reasonable price you'll find.
The next comic might be the most insane one of the most insane comics of the week.
Yes, and I hate to say one of my most anticipated. It's a DC book. See, I'm not biased.
We have Batman, Santa Claus, Silent Night number 1.
Yeah, Bob, this one just sounds like fun. This is a 4-issue limited series that sees Batman team up with Santa Claus to battle monsters in Gotham.
Yes, you heard right. Batman teams up with Santa Claus.
Yes, so it doesn't get much more fun than that.
We also have Titans Beast World Waller Rising #1.
A tie-in to the Beast World event.
And a comic I'm going to mention, a comic that I mentioned to Dan that is not on the list I'm reading, but is on another list that I've read. We have, like I said, the Batman Santa Claus team up was one of the most insane comics. But this one may or may not be one of the most insane crossovers I've ever heard. We have the Three Stooges versus Cthulhu #1.
Yeah, that's definitely out there. Hey, hit your local shops up. See if they can get you a copy. It might be a book you want to read. And speaking of books that you might want to read, we have a choice of 3 different books here on our lovely wheel over at wheelofnames.com to choose from for next week. So, whoever wins here wins the award for, being on the podcast next week. So you're going to want to make sure that you get a copy so you can follow along next week as well, of course. Bob, it's time to spin the wheel. We've got Batman, Santa Claus, Silent Night, Thunderbolts #1, and Invasive #1. And Bob, wouldn't you know it, the wheel has landed on Batman, Santa Claus, Silent Night. Wow, I can't say
that was actually the one I wanted the wheel to land on. Yes, to be honest,
I'm very excited to cover this book.
I am too.
This should be a lot of fun. Wow, I don't even know what to say, Bob. I'm happy that that's the one. I'm happy it happened.
Maybe Batman will smile.
Well, I don't know about that, Bob. Well, maybe you're just pushing your luck at this point. But speaking of pushing your luck, as always, make sure that you guys check us out on social media. We are on Instagram at ANAD_1 Comics Podcast. We're on X at ANADNO Comic Pod. Notice how I don't say Twitter anymore because I'm just that.
Wait, what's Twitter?
I don't know. It doesn't exist. I was talking about X. We're on TikTok at ANAD1 Comics Pod, and you can check us out on YouTube under the Comic Book Channel. This and every single week, Bob and I would love to send you a free copy of the book that we just covered this week, being Basic Instinct #1, with some beautiful, beautiful artwork by Vanesa Del Rey. All you have to do is use our hashtag, All New All Different Nation, on a social media post of your choice to be entered in that giveaway, and we will send you a postage-paid free copy of Basic Instinct #1. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and until next week, insert cool closing dialogue.